Welcome to the conference, Building Digitainable Organizations. My name is Dylan Meijer and I will be your host for this event. Today we have an amazing lineup of activities planned and we have a very diverse audience with a couple of students, alumni from the University of Groningen and of course the members of Samenwerking Noord. But first, let us briefly go through the program of today. We continue after this with some workshops created by the students and thereafter a keynote of Thijs Broekhuizen will be presented. We'll continue after that with a workshop round for the second workshops by the students. And last but not least, we'll have a closing conversation together with Wijnand Aaldrink and Bas Bouwmans. Please be ready to partake in any polls by having your second device ready, as well as for the workshops, and chat is open. If you have any questions, please ask them and we'll try to answer them. Let's move on to our guests sitting in the studio, namely Wijnand Aaldrink from Samenwerking Noord and Hester Kleuskens and Yvonne van der Veen, both students at the University of Groningen. Welcome to you all. Let's just ask a first question to you, Wijnand. I did find a peculiar word in the title of this conference. What does digitainable mean?
Yeah, well, that's really a strange new word, Dylan. Digitainable. Yeah. Maybe it will be branded after today, you never know, and everybody will use it in the future. I think it kind of explains that two major topics of today kind of have to be brought together. This is, of course, digitalization and sustainability. And if you're sustainable and digital now, I get confused now. But if you're digitainable, then you are kind of connecting these major strategic topics. I think most organizations recognize these topics, but what we did in this project is kind of brought them together. So that's why the students had an important role in finding out what the crossover could be, making organizations more digitainable.
Thank you very much. So you mentioned the students who did partake into some learning community. We'll talk about that later with our students at this table. But what is your share of participation and Samenwerking Noord's idea of this event?
Yeah. Well, maybe some of the people do not know yet what Samenwerking Noord, Cooperation Noord, that would translate in English, is all about. It is about digital. So our network organization in the north of the Netherlands is mainly focusing on digital. And digital is, of course, in every process of everybody's life, in work and in private situations. And digital, is a strong and important topic. But of course, it can also help, maybe, hopefully, if we connect it to the challenges of today that are more on the sustainable side. Students of the Faculty of Economics and Business here in Groningen, they recognize that this is an important topic. And Samenwerking Noord is an organization of 75 members. And 5 of these members volunteered, eagerly said, okay, let's have the students, let them explore in our organizations, how can we better connect these kind of topics, because yeah, maybe there's a sustainability team and there's a digital gang, maybe in the same organizations, but how do they meet and how do they connect in a strategic way and also in a way that makes this topic, yeah, kind of enhance each other. So this was the idea, and yeah, today we will see what the students found in their 5 organizations that they worked for.
Very excited to see as well. Let's move over to our students participating, Hester and Yvonne. You've participated in this learning community. I've mentioned the word already, but could you maybe explain to the viewers what is a learning community at the university?
Yes, definitely. So a learning community is a short-term program that students do next to their studies. So it can be about different topics for students to learn more and more in depth about one certain topic, or to learn a completely new topic and kind of broaden their view of and broaden their knowledge already. And that's exactly what this was. It's a short-term program where we learned more about the 2 subjects of digitalization and sustainability.
Perfect. How is your involvement in this project in general? What did you do for this learning community?
So me and Yvonne worked together, and well, actually, maybe Yvonne, you could elaborate on what we did.
Yeah, of course. So both me and Hester were part of one of these learning committees. We were one of the students that wanted to deepen our knowledge about digitalization and sustainability. Hester and me were actually both part of the giving advice to one of these organizations, the province of Groningen, which you will learn more about during the workshops. That was our participation in this learning community.
And you're part of the organization of this very conference, of course.
Yes, of course. We're also part of the organization, and that's why we're here today.
Yes, okay. So thank you very much. In a few minutes, we will move on to the workshops. And to give you some guidance, the students have prepared a video in which the workshops are explained, telling what their specific project entails. So let's go and watch this video.
Hi guys, my name is Nick.
Hi, my name is Mala.
My name is Kolya.
What's up? I'm Akila.
So we will tell you something more about the circular plastic waste industry, digital platforms and how these can benefit your organization. And moreover, we will present you our findings of how a digital platform can complement the circular plastic waste industry.
Our workshop is called Be Green, Leave It On Screen, and it's based on a project we did for the province of Groningen. During our interactive workshop, we will discuss the concept of a paperless office and facilitate the discussion on how to tackle paper usage in your working environment. Provide you with short-term and long-term recommendations on how to reduce paper usage at your workplace.
My group and I worked with CGI a few months back talking about hydrogen electricity and how data can be used to make it a bit more efficient in terms of production, logistics, and the whole entire hydrogen market, hydrogen cycle, hydrogen economy. And I hope you guys can partake in our seminar. We'll be giving out a little introduction as to what we did so far and also give you guys your own case.
So with my group and IBM, we created the workshop tackling the issue of plastic waste towards a circular economy. And there we will find out what are the existing bottlenecks and information flow of the plastic packaging value chain. Start off with a quiz, and then we will have a quick recap on what we did.
You'll see me and my team in the workshop Don't Waste Your Time, Do It Online, where we work together with the Martini Hospital in Groningen to find the impact of a video consultation on the sustainability goals. In this workshop, we will give you an introduction into the findings we have, but also have an interaction with everybody to learn how video consultation can really help your organization and what are the pitfalls, what can we learn from it, etc., and how can it really help you in bringing your company to the next level.
So we'll be looking forward to see you all the 3rd of June.
I hope to see you at the workshop, and remember, be green, leave it on screen.
So that was the video by the students, made up by themselves. These workshops, they will start in a few minutes, and you might wonder, how do I get to these workshops? Well, to give you some guidance as well, on the event page, you can find the workshops below. If you scroll down a little bit below the studio live stream, and to avoid some background noise, please mute or lower the volume of the studio, and we will be back in about 45 minutes. See you then.
Ja? Hoor je me nou of niet?
Welcome back from the workshops. I hope you had a fruitful discussion and possibly some insights you gained from the students. And to give you, as our viewer, some extra perspective, we've asked Thijs Broekhuis, Associate Professor of the University of Groningen in Innovation and Management, to come give a keynote. A very warm welcome to you, Thijs. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good to hear. Are you ready to give an amazing presentation?
Yeah, I hope to entertain you a bit and also inspire you a bit on this very fascinating topic.
On that note, let's go to your presentation. Take it away.
Thank you. I hope that I will be able to see the presentation because, yeah. So the topic of today that I would like to introduce to you is about whether digitalization is actually the panacea, the wonder cure that in a way takes away all of our problems. So is digitalization the panacea for sustainability? And I hope that this will help to inspire firms to build digitainable organizations. Next slide, please. So, as a background, many of you, of course, have realized that digitalization can offer many opportunities for digital learning, improved use of human capital. Also, the logistics, the coordination can be done much easier, and it's also possible to recycle goods. Furthermore, it is possible to establish new connections that were difficult to attain in an analog world. And also, digital tools can help to build trust. And I have some examples on that on the next slides. And you have that you can measure and show the impact of it. And I have to say, of course, there's always a downside. So I also will say something about the downsides of digitalization. So here you see an example of digital learning and remote working. Many of you have probably heard that with the rising labor cost, it's sometimes easier to outsource some of the work that has to be done, and that Indian doctors who are perfectly qualified can do it at way lower cost than they do in the US. So a lot of the x-rays are transmitted to India, they're checked by an official doctor, and the response is given back. And also with digital tools, group learning takes effect way easier. If you think about resolving these complex protein puzzles with the crowd, you can actually help and make it happen. Next slide, please. And it can also inspire and work as a chain of trust. I think that many of you are now aware of what blockchain can do. And in some cases, blockchain, if you think about cryptocurrencies, they may even undermine the trust. But in the essence, with this ledger and this decentralized network, you can secure and very closely observe what is the origin. And if you think about the pig farm, now they can put a tag into the ear of the pig and trace, so to say, the feeding patterns. Did it get antibiotics? How has the life of the pig look like? And by enabling this, and I'm sure that not all of the end customers will check it carefully, but when you want to buy it in your retail market or your Albert Heijn, so to say, then maybe with a scan, you can still once in a while trace back, did the pig have a good life? So it helps to inspire trust. Next slide, please. Masterline is another example that I've observed myself, and it's a Frisian company. And what they do is, actually there were lab experts that knew very well how to detect what they call mastitis, or this udder disease. And a lot of the pigs are in a way affected by it. And what the common approach was of farmers is that they would treat all of the cows in the same fashion and just give all of the cows antibiotics. Now, by just having them milked, the computer detects which one of the cows might have mastitis, because they can see the white blood cells, so to say. If they produce a lot of them, there might be something wrong. They take them apart and only treat those cows with the antibiotics. And the end result is that the farmer needs less antibiotics, so he saves on costs, that the cows have an improved life because they are not getting antibiotics all the time, and also the end customers will get a product which contains fewer antibiotics. So everyone wins in this sense. Next slide. If you have the time, you may be able to watch this YouTube video, and it shows about how robots are changing how we cure diseases. And that company that does it has made use of a robot, which is actually quite simple. And the robot takes existing medications and put it into these tubes, so to say, to detect whether the existing medication also works on different diseases. And they make use of highly advanced cameras to detect whether it adheres to the cancer cells or not. And the robot can do in 1 week 3 million tests. And this is the equivalent of one human working for 12 years, 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, and not getting ill a single day. So can you imagine how much time and cost you save by having this robot? And it will, and they have already, I think, over 20 unknown of the diseases for which there was not a known cure. Now they have found it with the help of the robot. Next slide. The other thing, if you're working in the construction industry, is that a lot of the buildings contain valuable materials, and normally they would always just get demolished, and stripping down was not easy. And instead of writing off a building, you should write down what kind of materials are inside. And Madaster is some kind of an eBay, you could say, and then it has a detailed map of what kind of materials are in the building, and then people can bid for the items and take them apart and reuse them in other buildings. So it's an excellent way of, when you register it and have a digital market, to reuse the materials that were normally just demolished. Next slide. And another thing that comes up with this digitalization is that it empowers the citizens. So if you think of Tata Steel in IJmuiden, they have this graphite range, and normally they would easily get away with it. So many people realized that there was a lot of dirt on the cars, but now they have sensors that trace and monitor it day by day. And what you will get is that the Tata Steel is now also maybe getting court cases. We also have seen it with Shell, that they get a court case because of the damage that they do to the environment. So with the help of online technologies, sensors, people they can voice their criticism and even go to court cases. And as a manufacturer, you need to think about this in advance, because there's no longer hiding about, no, it's not that bad. It's just some dirt, but it's not toxic. Now you will see that things will have to change, otherwise they will get major lawsuits. Next slide. I also have to be honest that digital is not always greener. So it is, in a way, a very nice means to an end, but there's also a lot of digital pollution. So I think for those that have read it recently in a newspaper, I think that the Bitcoin, so the energy to just mine and keep it afloat, is the same as how much Switzerland uses in total in terms of energy consumption. So a lot of stuff is being spent on these mining activities. Well, in a way, it's mostly now run by speculants that want to make a buck. So, and also if you look at the lifetime of current mobile phones and the toxic materials that are in it, we really need to make a shift to more fair phones or reusable phones, if we want to make the impact on the environment a bit less. So digital is not always greener. Next slide. So to wrap up, so digitalization is not easy. So it often requires a radical organizational change. And especially if you want to develop new ways of earning your money, there's a high chance, actually more than often, it fails. So the failure rate is about 66 to 84%. It requires a new way of thinking and working. So in Dutch they say omdenken. You really need to consider the process in a different way. And it requires maybe also new employees that consider the whole lifetime of a product instead of just what is being managed within the firm. It also creates more opportunities for collaboration and coordination, but at the same time also more conflicts. So you need to work with others. And I've worked with Dries Vaams on a paper, and what we also address is that the mentality or the organizational identity of a firm needs to be such that you are willing to collaborate and give favors to others. And so to manage an ecosystem, you often need to give up and maybe forego on some of your own profits for the sake of getting the collaboration of others. And it will be quite hard to manage. And then another thing that is also very difficult to attain is that you need to realize what we call sustainable multi-value business models. Many firms have produced CO2 emissions without paying for it. And it's very hard for these organizations that are heavily polluting in a way and creating these CO2 or other emissions to stop it. So if you save on it, who is actually willing to pay you for actually lowering the CO2 emissions? It's not that easy to accomplish. It requires also the collaboration of nations and pan-European collaborations. And the other thing is that once you've set up, so sometimes you build a nice recycling cradle-to-cradle concept, but at a certain moment you need to innovate, and who is willing to pay such that the others can also benefit. And so it's very difficult to maintain an ecosystem that can sustain itself in time and also innovate in time to improve it. I think that was one of my last slides. I still have maybe one. Yes. So my conclusion is digitalization the panacea for sustainability. Not 100%, but it offers a lot of opportunities. And it's a great way to attain better coordination, learning. It can stimulate new connections and trust and having impact. And at the same time, we can debate endlessly about the panacea, but I think a way more relevant question that you should ask yourself if you're a company is like, how do we realize a positive reinforcement and real impact between the two? And so we want to digitalize and also attain sustainability. And can we find those spots where they actually reinforce each other so that it's not a trade-off, but is actually reinforcing each other? So that was my story. I hope it inspires you a bit, and I'm also maybe open for maybe one or two questions. I'm giving the floor back to the moderator.
Yes. Thank you very much, Thijs, for giving this presentation. And I really think it's a nice addition of literature, some academic perspective as well into practice. So it helped understand the topic at hand. So now that we have gained some knowledge from your keynote, and thank you very much again for that, let's put this to good use in the next round of workshops. Again, please select the workshops below. You'll be able to select your preferred workshops. We have Martini Ziekenhuis, CGI, IBM, we have Province of Groningen. So please select your preferred workshop, and we'll see you again in 45 minutes or so. See you then. Welcome back from your second round of workshops. We hope our students have inspired you, and we hope the keynote of Thijs has been put to good use in your second workshop. We move on with a poll, a Mentimeter. And for this Mentimeter, you can use your second device, and you have to go to the website menti.com and fill in the code 62721011. And then you'll be able to answer this poll, and we'll discuss it later on with our guests at this table. The table we have right now is with Wijnand Aalderink and also just arrived Bas Bouwmans. Thank you for coming, Director of Groningen Digital Business Center. You've both been able to follow the students in the learning community for the last period. Are you proud of what they have performed and how they have come to these workshops?
Yeah, and to be honestly, the results of this learning community is something that I can compare with the results of former learning communities, and yeah, absolutely true. The results and the outcomes and the way of interacting and proactive part from each learning community, and so also with this, I'm always surprised what they deliver. The other way of looking out of the box, all those kind of things. Yes, so I'm absolutely proud with the results and also what we've seen during the process.
Wijnand, do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. We should also ask the students, of course, about their experience, and we will do that. But I think, what was nice this time in the concept is that the students not only did research, but also today presented their results in a workshop. So that is, I think, also living through the material. If you present things, I think you learn most. So that is, I think, nice to see how the students also interact with each other in the learning community, but also with the stakeholders from the organizations of Samenwerking Noord. We had 5 participating organizations that were not all the same, a bit different. And that is also good, I think, that it becomes a mutual learning experience that way. So I absolutely feel proud. And we've been doing this kind of concept of the learning community, bridging the gap from academia to practice in other forms as well. But we will definitely continue with this.
So putting theory into practice. That's exactly what the learning community does with
this. It is. Yeah, but then it's a two-way thing. It's not only theory to practice, but also from practice the questions come. So it's also bringing these practice questions to theory. So, and this is also, I think, where in a network organization like Samenwerking Noord, which has the knowledge institutes, like the university, but also other types of schools, but also business partners, also public organizations. I think, that's really nice that we have this kind of mix, where you can learn together and vice versa and do innovative stuff. I think this is what we have done. And also, when you refer to the lecture of Thijs, I think this is also telling us that innovation is key in every organization. So we should keep discovering, and we can definitely use these kind of students like we had today.
Exactly. Bas, what do you think will be the future of digital and sustainable? Will they interact with each other? How do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sustainability and sustainable is more and more a main point and a main issue on the agenda of a lot of companies and organizations. And I think digitalization and all those kind of things can be a mean to achieve and to reach out for steps in that way to sustainability. And I think that's the right sequence to follow. So it's something you can use to become more sustainable for the future.
So you actually say that it has some strategic relevance. Should it be on the top of the agenda of any organization?
Sustainability.
Both sustainable or digital?
That's what you see, and I think they both can do. And so you cannot see them separated, but they absolutely, there's a relationship between those two. So if you want to achieve steps on sustainability, you could use, again, digitalization to reach out for those steps.
Exactly. Do you agree, Wijnand?
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes, so far digitalization has been a bit more clear to people on the business side that they really need to go for it. Sustainability, I think now more and more people in society and also in business realize that it is unavoidable and that it's also in your brand. If you're not a good brand, then you will not survive. So being a good brand means that you also contribute to the world, not only in financial way by providing jobs, but also in a sustainable way. We have to create this kind of value together, and more companies also become accountable on it. Your accounts report is not only about facts and figures anymore, it is also about the sustainable development goals. I think also what we have experienced with these students from the Faculty of Economics and Business, it sounds maybe a bit like they all want to go for the big money and for the big four and all these kind of companies. But what we now see is that also sustainability has to be part of your employer brand. And then it cannot be just greenwashing of saying, okay, we also support sustainability. You really have to live up to that value. And students and future employees of your organization will also judge you for that. So I think it is really unavoidable for all organizations to become sustainable and seek ways to combine it with digitable,
So
of course.
it's creating a narrative from your company to not only be sustainable in the smallest sense, but more broader sense.
Yeah.
So now to the poll, we have given our participants some time to fill it out. Do you think these answers reflect your thoughts before?
Well, this is about how people view their organizations right now. So it's not really, what may happen in the coming years. Actually, it's already kind of surprises me a little bit that this right pillar is that high. And it is a positive sign, I think. Then it means that quite a lot of organizations already adopted the idea or somehow make them work together. So it's not just that they depend upon each other, but also kind of strengthen each other. And I think, that would be the way forward. If this could happen, that is, of course, a very good result. Yep. Also for others to aim for.
Yeah, and in addition to that, because it's an interesting score, because now even more have no direct relation with each other. Well, that's an interesting discussion, and I'm really eager to hear about that. Yeah, because I absolutely believe they enhance each other. Because on the other side, digitalization is one way to achieve results and to make steps in the sustainable thing. But for example, behavior and all those kind of things is also something else that you need to make steps in the sustainability. So there are more variables which you can use in this one. Exactly.
You've touched upon future organizations, what they should have to be successful. So let's go to the second poll on our Mentimeter, which is actually slightly different. In future-proof organizations, digital and sustainable are strategic topics and there you can choose already what you think. Let's just give them some time to fill it out. So, Wijnand, you are involved with Samenwerking Noord, and how does that organization help in contributing to these topics?
Yeah, well, we are mainly on the side of digital. We are a platform organization with 75 member organizations, and our focus area is digital so far. But then digital in the past used to be talking to the techie kind of persons in our organizations that that run the toolkit. They know how to write the code, they know how to install the software, etc. What we now see also in our organization, I think in most of our organizations today, that digital is not a standalone topic. It touches upon everything, every process in your working life, in all processes in your private life even, being a customer or a husband or whatever, digital is there. So, and it's really unavoidable. I think that means that also within organizations, the digital IT department should better connect to other departments. So then you come also in the area of HR, for instance, or in marketing, how you treat your customers or your citizens if you're a public organization. So I think when you come in that area, also these sustainable kind of values also come with it, because it's more about who you are and not so much how you fix things in a digital way. It is much more about who you want to be, who you want to become, how you can also connect to other organizations. And in that sense, I think, this opens much more the road for the contribution of sustainable to digital and vice versa.
And Bas, you are director of the Groningen Digital Business Center, of course. Do you think there's any role for the Groningen Digital Business Center to fulfill in this as well, in this story that Wijnand just told us?
Yeah, a few things. Samenwerking Noord is, of course, more related to IT department things. The GDBC is more also the step to the business thing, so it's a bit broader. And I think it's always good that an IT department can be an enabler to take steps, for example, in sustainability. The use of IT can help in that, for example, working at home, paperless, etc., etc. On the other side, there's also a dark side, maybe from all the use of energy, data centers, and that kind of discussion. So I think GDBC can help to promote and to make that discussions even work. So that's one thing. And so combine IT and business part. I think that will absolutely help. And and both digitalization and sustainability are, of course, topics that are also high on the agendas of students, and so they are really interested in these topics. That's what you also see in this learning community, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at our second poll. Any thoughts on these results?
Yeah, what you see here is that everyone is voting on the right side of the schedule. They say that they are dependent on each other or even enhance each other. Well, it's not a normative thing from my side that I say, well, this is what should happen. But you see it already happening, I think, in organizations. What I heard from the students when they worked in the different organizations, and what I also see somehow in different organizations. I also work for the University of Groningen. Sometimes there's still a lot of silo thinking. And so people work in digital and do not always cross the road to other departments. People are responsible for sustainability in the organization. They are in most cases more eager to connect with others. But I think this whole integrated concept of working towards a goal together, mission-driven as an organization, I think, well, if you do that, then you will be on the right side of the schedule. If you stay more in your silo with your own responsibilities and also with your own IT systems for different things in your organization, then they have no direct relations, or maybe sometimes be also in contrast with each other. So I think this also tells the story of an organization becoming more like a holistic whole, an organization also connecting more to other organizations in an ecosystem, creating values together. Well, interesting. Personally, I hope it will go that way, but I think somehow it's also unavoidable. If you want to have a successful organization, you better make it work that way, I would say.
Exactly. Bas, any last thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I think this picture is more in line and more clear than the former one, because what it says, digitalization, sustainability are both strategic topics on all agendas. We can only confirm that, and that's what we see everywhere and near and around us. So,
Perfect way to end, I would say. Thank you both for your valuable contributions to this discussion of becoming digitainable, of course. Would you like to know more as an organization, students, alumni on this subject, or have seen a very interesting presentation, workshop, or would you like to get in contact with one of the presenters? You can take a look at the evaluation form. We would like to thank the companies that participated in the learning community for allowing us to investigate and learn from your companies and organizations. Thank you as a participant and as a viewer. And I hope we have been able to inspire and contribute to your interest for digitainability. And see you next time.